Hi, today I'm going to show you how to rake
locks.
You might think it's an easy thing to do, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Hello there, yes, you are watching Lockpicking Legend and we are talking about raking. Now, a lot of people think that raking is a beginner's technique because beginners take to it because some of it is very simple. But I think there's a bit of snobbery in the old lockpicking world where people think, well, you know, once you've moved on to your single pin picking, you know, raking, as Bosnian Bill once described it, is a bit like bitch picking.
Well, gentlemen, I just got through with about a 30-minute plane ride, and of course a lot of waiting around in airports and things, and I had plenty of time to take a look and explore the power of bitch picking.
You put the rake in, you wiggle it about, and you might get lucky. But there's a whole lot more to it than that. Have a look at this. This is a document. It's about 4,000 words with illustrations that comes with the Polaris rakes. And I was going to do this demo using the Polaris rakes until I couldn't find them. And then I did find my nano Polaris rakes, which are the lovely little covert things. They're tiny. So no dramas. They've got pretty much the same tips as the Polaris rakes. However, all this raking advice I'm going to give you can be used with whatever rakes you've got. So you're not excluded if you haven't got the Polaris or the Nano. I'll put links into the description if you want to get a set of either. And let's go. So essentially what I'm going to talk about today is don't be limited with your raking. You know, there's more to raking than just sticking it in and out. Yeah, okay, keep them coming. You know, to sticking it in and out. There's more to it than zipping. There's a whole wealth of movements that you can use on that rake in conjunction with other raking movements to find the key, excuse the ridiculous pun in this context, to find the key to unlock that lock. It might require in and out, but it might also require a little bit of tilting. It might require zipping, but it might require zipping in an upward motion rather than just keeping it on the horizontal. So let's have a look at some basic techniques and we'll look at some of the varieties in motion, which is the same as movement but sounds better. So let's have a look at zipping for a start off. Here we go, got this stupid master disc padlock. This video isn't about opening locks, it's about raking. You put the pick to the end, it's just a hook, yank it forward, adjust your pressure and bob's your uncle. So the technique is you're dragging your hook across all the pins, and if you get the tension right, you'll open it. Now, the trick is, of course, too much tension, you'll bind pins, they're not going anywhere. Too little tension, and you won't set any pins, and they're not going anywhere. So you keep it nice and vertical, horizontal, and just pull it out, get that tension right, and a couple of tries, Bob is your uncle. And a lot of people think that's raking. Oh, there you go, I've got my raking sorted. But there's plenty more. Let's have a look. Okay, got this Inco industrial padlock. Now, keep an eye on the tension tool. I'll put my nano rake in, keep it horizontal, adjust it. Well, you know, I was just trying to find what we could call the biting point. If you drive a motor, you'll know what I mean. But the rake goes in and out, less tension, more tension. And you can feel when you're engaging with the pins, you can feel that they're setting. So that's very much a tension-based technique. Here with this, I can't remember, Federal lock I think it's called. This is Raking. Raking used to be a lot more popular, but it kind of went out of fashion, I suppose. But look, you simply rock the pick up and there you go. We'll do that again because I want to show you my superior technique, but I'm getting the tension. There you go. That's rocking. Just using the pins as a fulcrum. And the ones that bind will be the fulcrum. Works lovely. Here's some generic rim cylinder I've found, and I want to show you the up-down motion. People forget, whatever raking technique you're using, there's a lot of horizontal movement in a lock, in a keyway. And to prove it, I'm just going up and down. There's a tiny bit of in and out, but mainly up and down. And eventually it opens. And what I think I'm trying to tell you is you can kind of put all these techniques together. You don't have to use them individually. And by way of example, check out this. Now I can rake this a few different ways, but the way that I've found that does it the quickest is this sort of stirring. I'm just stirring it, and like, I'd never have thought to do that unless I kept trying. I can rake this in and out, but it takes ages and isn't always effective. Whereas this weird, very strange to use lateral movement when raking, and be careful because you can snap picks. But sometimes experimentation. Don't impose limits on yourself, because then you'll have limits on yourself.
You see, the raking part's pretty easy. Very quickly, you can get a huge pipe.
Locks open.
It's not the raking part that's the problem.
It's how you use the tension tool. This is probably the most important bit of this whole video, because this is about tension. And when raking, you need to be pulsing your tension tool. Look at my finger. Watch my ring finger of my left hand. See? I tend to... I'm exaggerating it for the video, but I will tend to do that for most of my raking, because each pin, or a pin here and a pin there, is going to have a different level of tension to set it. Now this goes into a full set because there's a security pin. So I'm putting a little bit of anti-clockwise on the rake so that I can get that full set out, and then because I'm putting tension on with the tension tool, I can carry on getting my turning pressure. So I'm combining left and right turning here, keeping that pulsing motion going. And raking locks with security pins isn't easy, but there you go, it is possible. You've just got to experiment to find out how to do it. So there you go, a bit of pulsing, a bit of turning the lock. So let's recap here. Basically what I'm trying to say is, don't limit yourself to what you've heard raking is. And you should put this kind of thinking into all your lock picking. Don't be limited by other people's ideas. There's lateral movement in a lock. There's more vertical movement in a lock. You can rake a lock at a slight angle, so you're approaching the pins nearest the keyway at a higher depth than the ones at the back. And of course you can come from down and up. Experiment, try different things. Yeah, you might break a couple of picks, but you might become a better raker of locks. And even with single pin picking, if you're out on a job, there's nothing better than getting that rake in there, setting 3 or 4 pins, and then bop, bop, you've got the last 2. I think people should have a new look at raking. When Raymondo invented the Bogota rake, it changed the face of raking, because he wasn't happy with the rakes that were available, and he decided to do something about it. Now you could be the next person to do that. Just experiment. Don't be trapped within the confines of the past. Be freed by the potential of the future. Look after yourselves, people. A thumbs up would be nice. Let me know in the comments what you think about raking and anything else you want. Oh yeah, and a subscription is always legendary. Take care and ta-ta.